Lanttu Draws. Oh my god, hello and welcome back to Lanttu Draws. And today we're drawing a little commission I got during the last weekend, which is a set of pals, a badger, a kitty, and a turnip having a little bit of a tea party together in the forest. And here we are sketching out the base layer, kind of figuring out where everything goes. The badger is on the left side, the kitty is gonna be in the middle, and then the turnip is on the right side. And we're kind of figuring out the eyes and the snout position so it looks more like a badger. And then we go to do the kitty. This is actually a fun little commission. This is kind of like alternate personas to me and a couple of our friends. One of these friends was the person who commissioned this. So this is a little fun. Little fun commission to have our alternative selves have a little tea party. I mean, more like a donut gathering. You'll see later what that means. But yeah, I'm just kind of figuring out. I figured out that having a turnip drink anything wouldn't be easy to do with this type of turnip, so I made it a little straw. And here we are starting the actual line art of the thing, starting with the table. And I'm accidentally copying the wrong layer, apparently. That looked weird. It's been a few weeks since I've done one of these, so I'm excited that I had a chance to get a commission done and get some drawing done. I really like the style I kind of ended up going, because the commissioner wanted kind of like cutesy, like children's book style, but obviously my drawing style is really like comic-like. It's like cartoony, comic-y, like children's cartoon type of style rather than like a children's book, like cutesy. But I tried to like incorporate it together so it would be kind of similar but still me, which I think I did end up succeeding pretty well at that. Here I wanted to make the badger very fluffy, because I feel like that makes it more cute because it's fluffy. And I also kinda, a lot of times when I draw animals, I don't like having just like no fluff, nothing, because it looks just like a bold animal to me. So I just prefer to always have a lot of fluff if I draw animals that are fluffy and have like fur instead of skin or scales and stuff. And I think the commissioner liked that in this picture that I made. We are struggling making the badger foot. I actually, probably the first time I've ever seen a badger foot, I went and googled some pictures for that. I've seen a badger once in real life and it was an amazing experience, honestly. But yeah, here actually I was at the same time messaging the commissioner and sending like these pictures where I was going with it. And in here I got a little change that they wanted to do. So they wanted me to change that they have a mug on their hand instead of a teacup. Because the commission was like a tea party, so I figured at least one of them should have a teacup, but he ended up wanting to change it, which is fine. So it is more of a little fun gathering among animal and vegetable friends. Kind of trying to figure out where to put the hand or paw and just smoothing it out. I know a lot of artists do this same type of thing that I do, but I also have been trying to maybe kind of get a learn to do things in a different way. You know, like I tend to draw and then go afterwards go and erase the little ends so it looks more pointy and not like super like round the end of it, because it looks more clean. But I think I could do that if I just either made my own brush that has that, or mayhaps change the app that I'm using. But you know, me being a prisoner of Adobe among many other artists. But here we get to do the kitty. I love drawing kitties, and I love kitties. I am #1 kitty obsessor. I love kitties so much. Kitty! But again, we want that kitty fluff. I had this image of this like black fluffy cat, as you can see the reference image on the bottom left corner there. That is usually where I like to keep my references, or on my second screen and have the reference window like full screen. But for these recordings it is a little bit easier to have it right on that one screen so you guys see what I'm actually looking at. And here I went like, oh, we need to get some ear action going. And in here we see my frustration with the bald. So I figured that, hey, I'm just gonna make more fluff. Fluffy ear. The more fluff, the better, honestly. So we're getting the tail done. And get some paws. We're getting the paws done. I really like the massive kitty paws. Changing the mouth position a little bit, changing the whole head position a little bit, because it looked like a little bit off to me, so I changed it up a little bit so it made a little bit more sense to me. And then we get to doing the glass. There's a bit of an inside joke, but the kitty and turnip both have a glass, but the kitty specifically has water in it, and I have Pepsi on it, or peepees, as we say. I already made a couple bubbles there, ready to go when I start coloring it, so I remember to do that. And then getting my luscious lips going. Yeah, I wanted to make the eyes a little bit different, but then I figured that I'll just erase it. Whatevs. It makes it look cleaner. And in here I wanted some beautiful root action at the bottom side, so it looks a little bit more interesting. With the leaves, I tried to kinda imitate the type of leaves my model has, but at the same time I wanted to keep them more turnipy. Because real turnips do have a little bit of that bulbous leaf action instead of having those. The type of like common type leaf situation that my model has. And in here we started to add some personalization things to the kitty. This was something that the commissioner asked me to do after sending that image, so I was like, okay, let's go, let's add some things to the kitty. And then obviously it cannot be a tea party without anything to eat, so I started to add some plates. And then I asked the commissioner like what they want. Would they like that cupcakes or cakes or whatever? So it was like, oh my god, I want donuts. So here we have a donut tea party. I made the base donut, copied it a couple times, and then made slight adjustments so they look different. Of course, we gotta have some toppings on the donut. And there I made another topping. Hell yeah! I would eat that donut. It looks so good still. And then I had a fun little idea to add a little bit of hair to the kitty. Just really small details, nothing too big. I didn't want to make like super big luscious hair or anything, because I wanted to make sure that the characters look more animal than human. I didn't want them to be like too humanoid. And if we start the coloring, get the base coloring down. Tried to color pick from the actual Badger image, but I just couldn't pick up the main color too well. It's a little bit too brown, but I fix it later on. And the idea was to have a black kitty. So of course the base color for the cat being black. And then coloring all the little details like the eyes and the hair. There we go for the table. Get all the... I made all of these different coloring layers so I could adjust them separately without having to worry about them getting on the other layers. So that makes things a little bit easier to me. And here I wanted to adjust the Badger coloring, get it a little bit more accurate, change the... At that point, the commissioner asked me to change the eye color, but I unfortunately changed it wrong again. But I will again fix that later on. And this was a little reference to my old merch. We do have an official Don't Fuck the Bees mug that this person has, and they wanted me to add a little tiny version of that, so I just added the text. Just having the whole image there would be a little bit too detailed, a little bit too off place. We're adding the shadowing. I tend to do the quote-unquote lazy shadowing, where you take a little bit of a darker color depending on the environment you are drawing. I almost took like a darker green for this, but I figured that this dark blue would be better in the end. And here we are coloring the actual eye a little bit better before getting the highlights on. I accidentally moved it, so I had to readjust it a little bit. Get those highlights on. Here, getting the shadows on the table. And then going on the kitty side of things. This drawing had actually like a couple different layers that I forgot were not in a single layer, so I had to like go back and recolor and redraw a couple layers. Not like completely redraw, but adjust a couple things. And like the process is really chaotic looking back at it. like in here realizing that, oh, I don't have all of these things colored in the paws, and then going back to these highlighters here. And soon I will go back to the paws and actually color the rings, and then readjust the shadows and highlights and all of that. Then doing a little bit of a highlight on the glasses, and then moving on next to the turnip, aka me. So fun fact, if you didn't know or you happen to be English speaking, my name, Lanttu, actually translates to turnip, or rutabaga, or Swede, depending on which English you speak. So yes, my name literally means turnip, and that is like the thing, the theme and the thing of my whole model. So that's why I was the turnip. I'm making some adjustments to the donuts. We have a sugar donut and a beautiful chocolate donut and a strawberry one. And then I want to color the water so it will look really watery. In here I realized that the background coloring is wrong, so I adjusted that. Then wanted to get this really good deep cola coloring, because this is supposed to be Pepsi. And then the highlights to the highlights and shadows that I forgot, adding some eye coloration, some additional details, and then adding some final details like the whiskers. In here I realized that the cat is a little bit too dark, you cannot really see the details, so I made it more grayish looking than black. Then I started to work on the background. I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but I figured that maybe let's have some gradients and then add some little details. There's some grass on the background, some stars. Then I made these tiles that we are having the table on. Then I wanted to adjust the coloration we have going on. Then of course shadows gotta get done. So it makes sense, and here we're just adjusting a couple little things. Sad thing is I forgot to record the very last thing I did to this image, in which I did a little bit of shade changing and color changing, but you can see it in the final image. I changed the badger's eye color and I changed the glasses for the kitty, but otherwise it is pretty much the same. That's it for today. I appreciate you watching and hope you have a good day. Goodbye!